sister-in-law? No way, she's just too filthy for me. A bedridden woman in need of care? She's worthless, isn't she? I heard those words, but I'm not a woman capable of staying calm or a tolerant mother-in-law who understands. On the contrary, I am determined to expose this person for everything she is in memory of my deceased daughter and make her face her own hell. That's what I thought fiercely. My name is Olivia. When I was in my 30s, I couldn't eat oily or rich meat dishes anymore. But now that I'm 60, I can enjoy red meat more than I did when I was younger. I thought it was a bit unhealthy, but it seems there are doctors who recommend steak for breakfast after the age of 65. Since I've lost a little weight due to aging, maybe I should start a steak lifestyle for my morning routine? Just thinking about it sounds like a good life. Now I'm trying to consume more calories, unlike in my 50s when I was avoiding intake to live longer. After my husband Georgie passed away, my eldest son Tim and his wife Emily moved in with me. They were concerned about my lifestyle, and Tim suggested that living together would be good. Until Georgie passed away, we had been caring for our bedridden daughter Katty. Caring for Katty with cerebral palsy was almost a full-time job. Even a single unattended piece of film could be life-threatening for her. Therefore, we took turns in caring for her. If I went out for shopping, Georgie would look after her. After Georgie's death, I considered asking for caregiving services, but financially, it wasn't feasible, and I wanted to take care of Katty myself as much as possible. Understanding this, "Then I'll live with Mom and take care of Katty," Tim said. When Tim was a child, he was mocked by classmates for having a paralyzed sister, but he never denied Katty. Instead, he was upset that others couldn't see how hard she was trying to live her life. Once, Tim got into a big fight for defending her. "Tim threw the first punch, so please apologize to the other child's parents." And I was called to school to apologize because I thought it was unfair, but I understood Tim's feelings. I'll never forget the tears of frustration he shed that day. Even as an adult married with a family, Tim's deep love for Katty remained unchanged, which moved me to tears, and I readily agreed to live together. Emily, my eldest son's wife, is a very gentle and friendly person. After moving in, she was always considerate of my weak legs, helping with laundry and cleaning that required going up and down the stairs. In her spare time, she chats with me while watching TV and doesn't mind watching reruns of historical dramas that I like. Tim, on the other hand, says, "Reruns of historical dramas, the old actors are hard to understand and it feels old-fashioned," and refuses to watch with me, so I'm grateful for Emily's company. It felt like the happy times I had with Georgie were back. One peaceful day, surrounded by my kind family, I overheard Emily talking on the phone. "Yeah, that pompous older woman, Roseanne, is so annoying. Complaining about greetings every day, such a loser, all wrinkled up. She should just retire already." I was surprised to hear such harsh words from the usually calm Emily. It seemed she had a side capable of intense anger. I felt like I had seen a different side of Emily, but I also remembered being scolded at work when I was younger for having a quiet voice. If I spoke loudly, I'd be told, "You're too loud," and if I lowered my volume, "I just told you yesterday that your voice is too soft. Are you incompetent?" I would be yelled at. No matter the volume, it was never right. I figured Emily might be dealing with a similar boss, so maybe it's understandable to vent harshly among close friends. As I witnessed similar incidents more frequently, I felt sorry for Emily, who seemed to be struggling. Then one day, after shopping, I bumped into a group of neighbors. "Hello." As soon as I bowed my head, "Just a minute." Everyone rushed over to me, saying, suddenly surrounded by a group of neighbors, yes?" I was perplexed and said, "Your eldest son's wife, what's going on with her?" "My Emily? What about her?" "It's not what you think. She's been leaving trash out without putting it in the bin, and it attracts stray dogs who have been cleaning up the streets because of it. It's unsanitary and a nuisance." "Oh, really?" I had no idea. I apologize. I'll speak to her about it. They never listen. We have told Emily so many times, but she doesn't change. Make sure you talk to her family, okay? Since moving in, it's heavy, let me do it. Emily had been taking care of the trash, saying, as far as I could see, there was no issue with the way she sorted the trash, and I couldn't imagine her being careless. Surely she knows how to use a trash bin, or does she? While I pondered this, a neighbor said, also, she didn't attend the community meeting recently, did she? Yes. Why didn't she come? Emily had said, I'm off work that day. I'll go. And had gone in my place. I even saw her off. Have a good time. I said that. Where did she go then? As I was confused, the neighbor's chatter escalated. The other day, she just scoffed at my warning. She never smiles with her eyes, you know. Keeping her in your house is dangerous. She's no good. Hearing all this, I replied with the only words I could master at the moment. Well, Emily was supposed to attend that community meeting? The neighbors looked stunned at my words. What? No one from your house came. You really should take these gatherings seriously. I'm sorry. Confused, another neighbor added, I saw her before the meeting. She was smoking in the park at the crossroads. I was dumbfounded. Pretending to go to the meeting but instead smoking in the park? Are you sure your eldest son's wife is okay? I couldn't answer. For a moment I wondered myself if Emily was really all right. She's unfriendly, doesn't even greet. Are you sure you're okay? Isn't Emily causing you trouble? No, nothing like that. My eldest son's wife is such a treasure. She even got me a birthday present recently. As the neighbors began boasting about how well treated they were by their daughters-in-law, I excused myself saying, Katy is waiting for me, and left back home. Olivia, welcome back from shopping. I'll make you some coffee, so please rest. I'll put the groceries in the fridge. Emily greeted me with a smile, saying this. The contrast between the complaints about her not putting trash in the bin, repeating the same mistakes and not attending community meetings, and the Emily I saw now was stark. However, I began to wonder if the reason she was scolded at work for her greetings might indeed be Emily's fault. Let's have a thorough talk either today or tomorrow. Just when I was thinking of addressing the issue of the garbage complaints at that time, Katy's health suddenly worsened and she passed away. Katy, who not only had cerebral paralysis, but also suffered from heart and respiratory failure, started to weaken considerably after she turned 20. She spent a lot of time in the hospital and we had been warned about her limited time left. So I was prepared. But it was still devastating to see her go so abruptly. Despite all the love and care I poured into looking after her, honestly, there were times I struggled with the fact that I brought Katy into this world. I felt guilty as a mom for not being able to give her a healthy start in life. We couldn't have real conversations. It was just me and Georgie, who were used to caring for her, trying to understand her intentions through her movements. I'm not even sure if we were able to fulfill what Katy truly wanted. She must have had many more desires of her own. Living with her was full of struggles and pain, but there was just as much happiness. And now, to lose Katy after Georgie? Since Katy was born, my life has been all about taking care of her, but how am I supposed to live now without her? I can't even remember what life was like before Katy. During the funeral, all I could think about was this, and I couldn't stop my tears. Seeing me like this,
Mom, are you okay? Why don't you take a break? Now's a good time. Have a drink and relax for a bit.
Tim said. I realized I hadn't eaten much since Katy was hospitalized, right up to the funeral. Same with drinks. Strangely, I had no desire for them, almost as if my own biological functions had given up on living. Embarrassed by Tim's perceptiveness of my grief, I headed to the rest area. I needed to be strong to send Katy off properly. Then I saw Emily's bag near the smoking area outside the rest area. I remembered I hadn't yet told her about the neighborhood complaints. I thought about talking to her later, maybe just for a change of pace. But just then, yeah, the funeral today, it's ruining my day off. Totally sucks. I don't feel sad, she was my sister-in-law and she was bedridden, right? I never talked to her, so I don't feel anything. If anything, it was a nuisance, honestly. She was bedridden and dirty, and her appearance was just gross, a real eyesore. Because of her, I had to live with Olivia, forced into these country-like traditions, having to attend community gatherings. I should have never agreed to live together, but soon Olivia will be gone too, and all the troubles will disappear. There might not be much, but there's some inheritance, right? Thinking about it, maybe I'm the winner here? Emily's voice, bright and out of place in the funeral home, shocked me with her callous words. I felt like I had seen something I shouldn't have and instinctively hid myself. What? You think I'm great for helping with the care? No way. Just show Olivia and Tim that you're helping and then do whatever you want. Her laughter echoed loudly. I felt anger rise within me. What did she mean by doing whatever she wants when we are not around? Could it be that Caddy's condition worsened and she passed away because Emily neglected her? The thought crossed my mind, but I had no answer. Caddy's official cause of death was heart failure. She had always had a weak heart and she had caught a cold just before she died. The doctor said,
Seems like she lost strength due to the cold and everything contributed to her passing.
It seems that she could have died at any time. She was in a state where constant care was necessary, but I couldn't say anything about Emily's level of care. But if she had provided proper care, wouldn't this have been avoided? I couldn't shake out these thoughts, hating Emily intensely. I couldn't forgive her. No, I wouldn't forgive her. I swore to Caddy's body that I would get my revenge. A month later, I continued to interact with Emily as usual on the surface. I couldn't risk being suspected if I was planning my revenge. When I lightly mentioned the garbage issue, I didn't know how to use the box, Emily responded with an apologetic face. This liar! At that time, I acted as an understanding mother-in-law and said, Oh, is that so? Then it can't be helped. Just be careful from now on. But today was the last day I would forgive Emily's action with a smile. That afternoon, Olivia, what is this? Emily burst into the house, breathless and holding a voice recorder in her right hand. I greeted her with a smile. Oh, what's wrong? You're home early today. Whose fault do you think? Why is there a voice recorder in my Tupperware? I thought it might make your afternoon at work a bit more interesting, so did you play it? I did. I find something like that. Of course, I'm going to be curious about the recording. Emily, pale and raising her voice, got a simple, I see, from me. I secretly grinned. For the past month, since Caddy passed away, I have nothing to do without Caddy's care, so I would like to make lunch. I said preparing lunch for Tim and Emily. Until now, I always gave Emily normal lunches, but today, I hid a voice recorder inside an empty Tupperware. I carefully lined it with styrofoam so it wouldn't make a rattling noise when moved, giving the Tupperware a convincing weight. Emily suspected nothing, took her usual lunch to work as always. I had set the voice recorder so that upon pressing play, it would immediately start with, Buzz, you really stink, followed by Emily laughing loudly and joyfully. This was to make sure others would ask what was that even if Emily stopped the playback immediately. As expected, Emily stopped the playback right away, but not before her boss, who was right behind her, heard the crucial part. The recorder was confiscated and everything was played back on the spot, just as I planned. When did you record this? Me complaining about my superiors? Oh, you seem to call your friends often, so when I kept watch, I could record pretty much anytime. You really are two-faced, aren't you? Yes, for a month, I had been recording Emily's phone conversations with her friends, making sure to capture their content. As it was a secret from Tim, The number of recordings was limited, especially when Emily took weekdays off, but thanks to her lengthy, nasty gossip sessions, even one call provided plenty of material. I chose a recording from when Emily was most heated and ranting for her lunch Tupperware. In that call, Emily spent nearly an hour and a half bad-mouthing her boss, her direct superior, and Rosianne. The content was awful. The boss had such strong body odor. I can't concentrate when he's instructing. He just got lucky with the company's business. He has no talent and no value in living anymore because of his age. And my direct superior's wife is ugly. He must have been desperate to marry her. She must have been desperate to get married too. They're both life's losers. And Rosianne is wrinkled, fat, single, and her life is essentially over. Better off not living than having such a life. It was a parade of hateful remarks that made you want to tell her to mind her own business. Although Emily seemed diligent at work, she behaved capriciously with subcontractors, which Rosianne couldn't stand. She admonished Emily with, "Say hello properly and speak politely," among other things. Emily always responded half-heartedly, "I'm tired, and I didn't realize it was there." It seemed like she was trying to dodge it with all sorts of tricks, but Rosianne didn't ask her about those techniques. Emily's company was all men, except for 2 female office workers. Of course, Rosianne was Emily's only female superior and probably the only one who could see through Emily's act of being a good girl because they were both women. Emily knew this and saw Rosianne as an enemy. However, the male employees fully trusted Emily, who seemed to be slightly popular even though she was married. She might have let her guard down around a male friend, which is why such nasty remarks kept coming out. She also endlessly talked about subcontractors and other unbearable things, to the extent that it was impressive how much her friend listened to her. And the voice recording I put in the Tupperware was from this time. Unbelievable. What are you saying I did? Everyone has 2 sides. Because of Olivia, I was told not to come to work for a while. How are you going to make this right? Who would want to work with someone who badmouths the boss and unjustly criticizes an innocent superior's wife? It's your own responsibility. So why does that make it my responsibility? It was just a vent. Oh, that's what you did at Caddy's funeral, talking to your friends about how your sister-in-law was dirty and disgusting and a nuisance, right? At that moment, Emily's expression stiffened. Did you think I didn't know? I was actually right there at that time. I hid because you were saying such terrible things. That, I didn't mean it. Are you trying to excuse it by saying you didn't mean it that way? Then, does that mean there was a deeper meaning to how you carelessly handled Caddy's care? As I glared at her, Emily froze with a pale face. Since you carelessly handled Caddy's care, it's only fair if I carelessly handle your lunch, right? What you did was far worse, wasn't it? There is no reason I should be blamed or go through this just because I didn't care of Caddy. I had no obligation to do so. Yes, you're right. You had no obligation to take care of Caddy. But you haven't forgotten the condition of living in this house, have you? In exchange for taking care of Caddy, you could live here without paying for food or living expenses. That was the agreement, wasn't it? What about it? I talked to Tim about you last night. He's probably going to bring up divorce tonight. What? He cared a lot about Caddy. So your remarks at the funeral were unforgivable. Although he didn't have the recording from that day, hearing your voice, bad-mouthing people at work, made him fully believe it. That can't be true, right? It's true. Tim is important to me. I warned him about having someone as two-faced as you around. That's ridiculous. Is it so bad to speak ill of a sister-in-law who's no longer in this world? So that's your true nature? Disgusting. You think it's okay to say anything about someone who's no longer in this world? How would you feel if, say, your parents passed away and your mother-in-law or husband said the same things you did? How would you feel if your parents, who were cared for every day, were carelessly looked after by in-laws and passed away, perhaps coincidentally? Emily fell silent, perhaps imagining her parents dying that way, and began to cry. It's not just about saying bad things. It's about not being able to imagine other people's pain. That's why we can't be family. I'm sorry. After that, Emily stayed in her room for a while, but was dragged out for a family meeting upon Tim's arrival, where their divorce was formally decided. An enraged Tim told Emily to pay back an amount equivalent to the food and living expenses she has saved so far and to leave the house the next day. Emily, drained of energy, just kept saying, I understand. The conversation wasn't much, but it led to a compliant divorce. When Emily visited the house later for settlement, she was unemployed. The voice recorder incident had caused a stir in the office. At first, everyone was skeptical of Emily's true nature. The boss, who had planned to observe her after a suspension, that girl slacked off at work and was rude to subcontractors, turned cold towards Emily after Roseanne said this. The other employees felt the same, and after her suspension, no one believed in Emily anymore. She left her job due to the uncomfortable environment. When I saw Emily after a long time, she had become quite emaciated. The last thing she said to me was, I have had the chance to reflect on myself. Thank you. That's what she said. I don't wish her happiness, but I do hope Emily can grow more as a person from now on. That's a wish from someone who was once her mother-in-law and a senior in life. Since then, Tim hasn't remarried, but he seems to enjoy his work and moved out after getting a job transfer. He has been promoted rapidly and bought a pedigree Bengal cat with his savings. He named it Caddy, the same as his sister. He stumbled upon a cat with the same birthday as Caddy's at the pet shop and felt it was fate. Bengals are quite robust among cats.
Live strongly this time, Caddy.
And Tim dotes on the cat, saying, it seems he sometimes gets bitten, but he finds that endearing too.
There is even love in the scars. Cats over woman,
he said once, which naturally made me worry about him in various ways. Well, he seems happy even after the divorce, so that's a relief. As for me, becoming single led me to join a local tennis circle, building new relationships and enjoying my days. There is someone skilled in baking, and on days without tennis, we often gather at their house to learn baking. The tea party afterwards is one of my joys. It makes me realize that life is something you can always start new things and enjoy no matter the age. There are quite a few things I can do like when I was younger, but that's how it is. It's not bad to enjoy what I can to the fullest. I plan to enjoy life to the fullest until I join Caddy and Georgie. Life is all about the spirit of challenge, right? It doesn't have to be a life everyone envies. But I want to continue enjoying my second life, finding my own kind of fun.